He says, now let us see what kind of an earth YAHUAH showed Peter in his vision in Acts chapter 11, verse 5. And this is one of those gems, let me add, that was a delight for me to find. Peter calls it a vessel let down from heaven by four corners. And this is that story where Peter is in vision and a sheet is let down by the four corners, and he sees all kinds of creeping things, creatures in it of the earth, and he's told to eat. And of course, these creeping things and creatures are unclean animals, and so there's the symbology there of what is clean versus what is unclean. And Peter refuses to eat it 3 times because he doesn't eat unclean food, being a Hebrew Israelite. Okay. And then it goes into all the symbology about what this is about, and that's perhaps a subject for another time. But Orlando says this was in my judgment a true picture of this four-cornered earth, and it had in it all the beasts, fowls, and of the air, and creeping things. I have to say I believe that Orlando Ferguson was right on target with this. This is one of those gems, as I said before. Anytime you see in Scripture the heavens, the earth, and the seas grouped together in a statement, it is a reference to go back to the Genesis creation, the book of Genesis, and to put whatever they're talking about there in context with that to better understand it. Anytime they talk about the fowls of the air and the creeping things and the beasts, it's talking about that which was put into the creation during the 6-day creation of the animals and the plants and everything. It's talking about that. This is a reference here by Peter, by Peter's experience in this dream about the Genesis creation. And so it really is a literal typology, a typology of the creation that is explaining this spiritual issue that Peter has that we won't go into today because that's a whole nother video. You can read that in Acts chapter 11, see what that's all about. But it's let down by the four corners. So this sheet is the ecliptic earth, the earth on an ecliptic with its four corners, being let down with the animals that were in the creation in it. All right. This is also, just for your information, a parallel to the typology given, or the example illustration given, when the friends of the lame man made a hole in the roof, which is like the hole in the dome, let down the four-cornered bed with the lame man on it so that the Messiah could heal him. So these typologies, if you will, these examples or illustrations and metaphors are throughout Scripture. Very, very interesting. But I definitely agree with him on this. He goes on to say the 10th chapter of Acts and the 11th verse says it was knit at the four corners. Now, being knit at the four corners is very interesting because if you take a sheet, lay it out, and then if you were to turn up the four corners and meet them at the top, then you would have a square earth with a dome over it. And I believe that this is the description that's being given here. He gives 2 descriptions of it, and it must have been a picture of the four-cornered earth, Orlando says, with every earthly thing in it. I agree. While it is a fact that I have to fight the world alone upon this question, he's not alone, I'd fight the world on this question as well. I would rather walk alone in the dark with YAHUAH than to ride in the light with man. I would put it a little differently. I'd rather walk in the darkness of YAHUAH, which is great light, compared to the so-called light of man, which is really nothing but darkness.